Berlin is really unique. It has been the capital of two German dictatorships. I mean, the Nazi dictatorship comprised the whole city, and the communist dictatorship comprised half of the city. We have people who have been raised in the open former West Berlin. And people who have been raised obeying to a system that didn't allow their citizens to speak out freely.
Aus allen Kreisen unserer Republik zum Appell angetreten. Die Losung des Tages: Wir wollen lernen, arbeiten und leben nach dem Vorbild unseres unvergessenen Genossen Ernst Thälmann.
Danke für Frieden und Sozialismus. Seid bereit!
This puts prints on people, of course.
Wer hat uns wieder verraten, die Sozialdemokraten? Wer hat uns wieder verraten, die Sozialdemokraten?
Bilder einer getrennten Stadt. Der Kanzler eröffnete eine Ausstellung im Berliner Rathaus. Erinnerungen, die seit dem Fall der Mauer vor gut einem Jahrzehnt zwar Geschichte, aber noch lange nicht vergessen sind.
13 August 1961. That was the day the wall started.
Und einige müssen noch darüber lachen, aber fragen Sie doch einmal Ihre Kameraden, weshalb sie vor Ihnen stehen und nicht hinter Ihnen.
The West Berlin police were standing around scratching their heads, and the Allies were there. They didn't know what was going on. They just knew that East Berlin was now being separated from West Berlin.
Berliners were appalled, angry. I mean, there was extreme anger.
This was an East German ship, and we weren't allowed to cruise on the river over there. During that time, people could have jumped ship and swum over to the west.
Hey, well done!
I don't know of any time in history where a regime has felt so completely bankrupt, so completely desperate to keep its people in, that it had to resort to that measure, which was essentially build a prison wall around the entire population.
We in the East have had these 12 years of the Adolf Hitler dictatorship and 44 years longer dictatorship.
So we are here in what the former prisoners called the U-boat, the submarine. The normal U-boat cell was this one, and as you can see, it's a cell without windows, and you get really big problems to breathe inside.
I'm born in 1940. In all my lifetime, I have never felt freedom and democracy. Dass man in einer Diktatur immer nur durch Unterwerfung.
One is always forced to subordinate oneself in a dictatorship. One fails to stand up and say, I am a citizen, I am important. You only get along when you knuckle under. The moment in which you form your own opinion, when you decide not to play along with the party or the secret police, you cut yourself off from society. Any success you may have had is finished.
Den Kampf für die Freiheit und das Glück des Volkes und seiner Kinder geführt hat und führt.
jetzt, wo ich da drin war, habe ich wirklich gemerkt,
when I was in there, I realized how terrible it must have been.
Ich weiß nicht, das kann man auch nicht
I don't know,
erklären
you can't really explain
eigentlich.
it.
Eigentlich richtig weh.
It just hurts, I think.
Meine Mutter hat mir sowieso schon ein bisschen was aus ihrer
My
Vergangenheit
mother
erzählt, dass sie
always
halt
told
auch
me a
damals
little bit about her
niemals, sie wollte
past,
eigentlich irgendwie Journalistin
that she had a
werden,
lot
aber
of
das durfte
problems
sie auch
back
nicht,
then.
weil
She
sie
wanted
halt
to
eben
be a
jetzt so
journalist, but
eine
she
andere
wasn't
Meinung
allowed
hatte,
to
mit der
because
nicht hingepasst
of her
hat.
opinions.
Und wenn ich mir das immer überlege,
I
dass,
imagine that
wenn da
if she
irgendwie
had
sie noch
said
was
the
Falsches
wrong
gesagt
thing
hat,
at the wrong
dass sie dann
time,
auch irgendwie
she might have ended up in here.
hätten reinkommen können.
And we have more than 250,000 people in this country in political prison. We'll never need such a system, and nobody needs a dictatorship. We must live in freedom.
We have a very fast unification in 90. It was a great time of our former Chancellor, Mr. Kohl. It was his great time.
Investitionen für unsere gemeinsame Zukunft haben mit Kosten zu tun.
This Mr. Kohl, with support of the Eastern population, did this work fast and quick. Let's have him to go to Moscow. Gorbachev, come on. What about unification? What about money and so on? And the Germans felt, well, we have seen in our hands the first Deutschmark. Oh, great. But the personal feeling among the Eastern population is bad.
Hier lege ich mir den Mantel um.
Na, das geht ja nun schon ja nicht.
Wieso?
Ja, du bist aus dem Osten.
Ja, na und?
Ja, du kannst doch nicht von einem Westler verlangen, dass er vor dir auf die Knie geht, nicht? Ist doch so.
Hossa!
Auch der Humor hat sich auseinandergelebt.
Humor went in two different directions in divided Germany. But things are slowly beginning to... Here we say, laughter slowly brings us together. It's something that perhaps doesn't happen quite as readily out there in everyday life.
Mensch, Gerd, da waren doch die Volkswahlen in der DDR was ganz anderes.
Oh ja, du, da ging es nicht um Schönheit oder Intelligenz.
Nein, Kollegin.
First step, 89, we are the rulers against the former dictators. Second step, we are little boys and girls, pupils in the school of democracy.
Da ging's doch ums Ganze. Um 99,8 oder 99,9%, das waren noch Zeiten. Und deshalb rufen wir euch zu, vorwärts!
It is hard to live as a citizen. It is easier to live as an adapted person.
Of course we know better how to live in a democracy than they do. We have learned it.
It's no reason for arrogance, not at all, because we were just lucky.
Zum Kampf sind wir bereit.
So we have a problem that is quite understandable. It is solvable, but it will take a long time. And of course, it will also take a lot of modesty on our part, on the West German part. And it takes a lot of patience on the part of the East Germans. One of the biggest problems is that the changing of the attitudes of mentality is very slow. And that's what I have learned during this 10 years of changing.
Immer wieder sonntags kommt die Erinnerung.
Ich glaube schon, dass man
I think it's much easier for people to relate to each other with humor, rather than constantly talking about problems, the heavy stuff.
The heart of the West went out to the imprisoned people of East Germany. But unless you were there, you could not really understand.
The whole time, in the hard way and in the soft way, the change in the difficult ways, citizens into subjects.
To better understand the mind of the former East Germans, you come to this place, 35 Glinkestrasse in Berlin. It is here that the secrets of the old East German secret police, the Stasi, are revealed. It's the job of a government ministry under the head of a Lutheran minister who has lived in the former German Democratic Republic for his entire life. For Joachim Gauck, this is only the start of a mission for greater understanding between East and West Germans who call each other the Aussies and Wessis.
Life under oppression is a completely other way to life as in a free country. And that is the most important problem of misunderstanding between Aussies and the Wessis. And so many West Germans have not a deep understanding what it is to live in freedom. It was very important to have not only experiences in West Germany. It was so important for me to come to the United States and to feel what it is a citizen. But what we from the former oppressed people can learn from your citizens is I am the citizen. And my interests are important, not the interests of the minority of rulers. And for the Western people, it's very important to hear what the former oppressed people from the former Soviet Union and the East tell them. Then so often they think freedom is normal, democracy is normal, and we feel now, oh, it's a big gift.
Right now, for us, we are students. We've got the right to be optimistic and dream our dreams, and maybe, think of our future in a good way.
We know that it used to be different, and now we can enjoy this freedom and all the chances and the choices that we have.
It is as well an achievement of our parents that we have this freedom, and we have to use this freedom really and enjoy it and do what our parents maybe never could do in their lives.
Es gibt ein altes Wort von Bertolt Brecht.
There's an old Bertolt Brecht quote. Those were the trials of the mountains. Before us are the trials of the plains. We have all the pain and joy of the mountains behind us. And now the question is, how will we cross the plains? It will be much wider than we ever thought before.
Berlin has had a terrible century. There were 2 wars. Berlin unleashed pain and suffering on the world. And finally the city was split apart. But even in the face of such difficulties, sometimes you're able to see a new side to things.
I was a political prisoner in the GDR. So this is a big deal for me.
This magnificent gate, to be unveiled in a splendor it has not known for a long time, for decades was a symbol of division. A powerful reminder that Germans lived imprisoned on one side, free on the other, in a world divided by the Cold War contest between communism and democracy. Today, the gate is a symbol of unity, born out of the universal hunger of people to be free. Now and forever.
As I saw it, as I learned more about how hard it is to change my own behavior, then I understood deeper what it means to learn to be a citizen.
That process of actively and proudly standing in and fighting for this type of freedom has genuinely begun, and there's no turning back.
Berlin will always remain a city where the history of the 20th century is inscribed. And I think it would be wrong to have this somehow covered by other things. It's a kind of tapestry which is still far from being completed, but I think a lot of people work on that.
It's now real, a new symbol for the new time. And it should be also a start for the German future.